what you hear, what you hear, what you hear, it's not a test. Now what you hear, what you hear, what you hear, it's not a test. Now what you hear, what you hear, what you hear, it's not a test. Now what you hear, what you hear, what you hear, it's not a test. Now what you hear, what you hear, what you hear, it's not a test. Now what you hear. Now what you hear.
Can you guys see the PowerPoint?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you guys see the Cool. I'm going to get started here. So I want to welcome everybody to tonight's webinar, and I'm going to go over what Yoli has to offer, you know, with the better body system. And so here's what I want to go over tonight. You know, what was going on in the United States, if not the rest of the world, with this obesity epidemic, why diets don't work, why we age poorly, and then why, you know, the better body system is so effective, and why have I've seen, you know, with my patients in my office, I've seen such great results, and I know others, you know, around the world and around the nation, you guys are seeing great results as well with your preferred customers, your members, and yourself. I just want to start off a little bit about myself. You know, who am I? You know, a lot of people probably have no idea who I am. I have 3 wonderful children, the ages 4, 2, and 1. My little girl, she just turned 1 last week. And by trade, I'm actually a chiropractor, and I studied chiropractic kinesiology at Southern California University of Health Sciences. I graduated 5 of my class, and then opened up a practice in Irvine, California. And in 2009, our practice was selected as the top alternative medicine clinic in Orange County. But really, by choice, I'm actually a musician, and then that's how everything really started, and that's where I kind of, you know, got my discipline there was through music. And through that, you know, dabbled in the realm of network marketing and different nutritional companies and all that kind of stuff. And why I got into this whole area of alternative medicine and nutritional medicine is because of my grandparents. And I have a couple pictures of these are my grandparents. And when I was a junior in college, my grandmother passed away at the age of 61, and she was on dialysis for a good 5-6 years, and she passed away unexpectedly. And it really shook me emotionally and as well as intellectually, because it was at that point where I looked at what we currently had in, I guess, medical science, it really wasn't helping, you know, and that really changed my direction of course of study. And then over time, I saw my grandfather, my dad's side, I saw him go from a vibrant, you know, person to deteriorating and succumbing to dementia and late stages of dementia, early stages of Alzheimer's disease, and just saw him really deteriorate over the course of 6 months. That really got me thinking about, you know, how a human body really works, and why do some people go through difficult physical challenges while others don't, you know, and it really came down to lifestyle and what we're doing biochemically in our body. And that's what I want to share with you guys tonight. The silent epidemic that's going on in our society, if not the rest of the world, is basically this. You know, we're looking at obesity becoming the norm in the world. You know, we're looking at articles in Time Magazine, Newsweek, front page newspaper that's talking about weight loss, talking about all these different things that's affecting our economy, affecting our psychology. And you look at that one news report, I mean, this basically shocked me right here, the one with the baby, that, you know, baby's going to grow up to be 300 pounds. That's preposterous, you know. And I went to the CDC website, and I found this graph here. And this is basically showing prevalence of obesity in the United States. Now, it goes by color. So if you look at the bottom of the chart, it says, you know, if it's blue or less than blue, it's less than 10 to 14% of the states is actually considered to be overweight obese. This is in 1990. Okay. So we fast forward to 2010. 2010. You know, just, what is that, 20 years later, in the span of 20 years, so it's basically like one generation there, we're seeing that everything is above 25% And, you look at 2012. 2012, they haven't put out the graph yet, but every single state is above 35% obesity. Now, obesity is a medical term where it's actually causing disease process. Obesity is an actual disease. So here we are, United States of America, in the span of 20-something years, we went from not even registering obesity to being one of the most obese countries in the entire world. You look at this graph here, in the United States, we spend huge amounts of money on healthcare, but yet there are countries that spend significantly less than us, and they still rank higher on overall health. If you look at the graph on the left, United States is the #1 obese country in the world. I mean, you look at all these other countries, we are ranking at the top. But we also spend the most money in the world on healthcare. Annually, $7,200 per person. I think in Guam spends like $167 annually for healthcare, and they rank higher than us. It's something's happening, and it's not necessarily just diet. It's not necessarily just medications and all that kind of stuff. There's something else beyond this. And this was the one thing that I kept asking myself as a physician, what's going on here? What piece of the puzzle are we missing? What are we not looking at? You look at costs that it's putting a burden upon our society with obesity here, and we're looking at an extra $450 billion in our country that we're spending on obesity alone. We're not counting everything else. We're just talking about obesity alone. $450 billion, guys. This is amazing. You look at stuff like what it's costing individuals, what it's costing, insurance payers, what it's costing the employers. This is large amounts of money. And it's no wonder why we look at our economy, and no matter that our economy is in a recession or we're in, a good surplus, it doesn't matter because our health care is always going to weigh us down. So there's something that needs to be done in our society. You look at the top 10 leading causes of death. #1, heart disease. #2, cancer. #3, lung disease, stroke, unintentional accidents, all this stuff. I say over half of these diseases are linked to diet, lifestyle, and linking to obesity. We've done a great job in our society of increasing lifespan. The average American now is living somewhere between 72 to 74 years old. But the health span is not doing so good. When I say health span, that means when your health starts declining. That starts in the ages maybe 35, 40. So a person is dying halfway through their lifespan. And that's what we have to address here. So we look at, I pulled this one off of the American Cancer Society website. And the reason why I pulled this off was their headline was, "We're winning the war against cancer." And I said, oh, that's pretty interesting. I didn't know that we were winning. But when I looked at this graph, I'm like, this is the graph of the incident rates. Now, the incident rate means that the prevalence of cancer appearing in our population. So if we're winning the war on cancer, the graph should actually be going downwards. But we're seeing the incidence is actually still rising over time. From 1970 to 2008, it's actually increasing. So we are not winning the war against cancer. We might win the war on, once a person develops cancer, we have certain treatment protocols now that we didn't have 10 years ago. But that's still reactive. It's better to prevent things from happening than having to go back and, retroactively try to repair something, because the damage has already been done. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. How do we get down to the cause? So I sit around asking myself, I come home from work and I see patients, and there's sometimes where I can't help a patient, and I'm like, okay, what's really going on here? What's the cause of all this? And, in nutritional medicine and alternative medicine, we look at a bunch of different things here. So we look at nutritional deficiencies. Maybe you're eating the wrong kinds of food, high-calorie foods, nutrient deficient. We look at environmental toxins, and we talk about stressors. And we try to address those. And sometimes we get results, sometimes we don't. But there's an underlying cause behind all of this. What are these three major things actually causing? So, when I did a lot more research, what all these things actually led to is an altered balance in pH. All of my mentors always told me is the one thing that you want to get in balance is pH. If you can get the body's pH back into balance and control the acid-alkaline ratios, you can prevent disease. Because disease thrives in an unbalanced acid-alkaline ratio. So every single healthcare practitioner, you look at all these alternative medicine doctors that are having huge success rates. There's a doctor, his name is Dr. Max Gershon, and he was a really forward-thinking physician. He opened up a clinic that dealt specifically with, uncurable cancers, and he was having phenomenal success rates because what he was doing was putting people on highly, highly alkaline diets to address the nutrient deficiency, high caloric foods, to address the toxins, to address the stress, mainly by restoring the acid alkalines. And that's what we're going to get to with the better body system. So, in the United States and around the world, more so in the United States, you see everybody on diets. You've got the Atkins diet, South Beach diet, the lemonade diet, all of these bad things that come and go and come and go. You see people going up in weight, going down in weight, and you can never recognize them because 1 month fat, 1 month they're skinny. You just don't know what's going on. And the reason being is diets just don't work. Okay? The reason being is when you go on a diet, you have to get off of it. You never make a lifestyle change. It's just something to get a quick fix. Hey, I'm going to my 25th class reunion. I got to look skinny. I'm going to drop like 15 pounds. After I get back home, I'm going to gain 35 pounds, and you keep going on yo-yo roller coaster. What happens here is most of the diet doctors that I've seen, they're basically focusing on imbalanced biochemistry. What I mean by that is that you look at different diets and there'll be low protein, high carbohydrate, or low carbohydrate, high protein, no fat, no sugar. There's never real balance in all of this stuff. And that's why these diets don't work, is because you're actually depriving your body of the balanced nutrition that it needs. And the other key factor is from a psychological standpoint, it's really too hard for them to make a change. People living in a fast, stressful lifestyle, they're going from eating 3 to 4 meals, maybe even more, of fast food meals every single week. And you're telling them to eat salads and fruits and different vegetables. They're not going to do that because it's too hard of a change. The key to all of this is making a lifestyle change. There is a catch to that. Is that the lifestyle change is hard in and of itself. That's like telling somebody, you know what, I want you're right-handed. Tomorrow I want you to be strictly left-handed. It takes time for that to happen. See, in our society today, we've trained our body high-calorie foods, high-calorie foods. But all of these foods are nutrient deficient. That's why we're still hungry. You eat all of these foods and you're still hungry, so you eat more and more and more. So in order for you to get your base amount of nutrition from your foods, you're having to eat double the amount of calories. These calories have to stay somewhere. They get stored as fat. And you're going to see why it gets stored as fat here. So in order to make any type of change, it has to be gradual in order for it to be lasting. And you look at a lot of these diets, it's hard for people to stay on it because, face it, people don't like to eat stuff that doesn't taste good to them. If they're eating something and it tastes like cardboard, they're not going to stay on it. They're not going to ingest it. It's the best stuff for them in the world. But if it's not getting into their body, it's not doing anything for the biochemistry. So now I want to talk about why we're aging poorly. There's countries around the world where people are living into their upper 80s, 90s, even into the hundreds, and they're doing it very, very good in comparison to what we're doing in the United States. I was telling my wife, I said I ran into one of our classmates, and in his late 60s, like a poor late 60s. I know some 60-year-olds that look like they're in their early 30s. But there are a couple of reasons why we're aging poorly here. It's too much toxicity. You know, we do things that are detrimental to our bodies. You look at this lady here smoking a cigarette, drinking. We know all these things are bad for our body, yet we still do it. And these leads to other things like too much oxidative damage, too much acidity in our body, too little nutrients, and too little circulation, or too little extra. I think the statistic was about 45 to 50% less time doing physical activities than the previous generation. You know, in schools, I know that they cut down on recess time and physical education because of different demands by the educational system, and it's creating a lack of exercise in our children, and they're gaining weight rapidly. Not to mention they're feeding their kids poorly. This is why we're aging poorly. Other countries don't do this. They don't do this kind of stuff. They're moving around. They're eating, you know, plant-based diets and all that kind of stuff, so they're aging well. So I'm going to talk about the better body system. The better body system in itself helps your body to get back where you're supposed to be as far as biochemistry. And this was a phenomenal study when it was pointed out to me. You know, when I first saw this, I said, this is instrumental. This is instrumental to the psychology of how we help people get lasting results. Just like I told you, if people, they don't like how it tastes, they don't like how the program is working for them, they're not going to get a lasting result. So what this study showed was that if people are losing weight quickly in the beginning, they're more likely to stay on the program and have lasting results. Because face it, if you went on some type of dietary regimen and you lost 5 pounds in your first week, you're more likely to stay on because you say, hey, you know what, I lost 5 pounds in the first week, let's see what I can do in the second week. It's kind of the same thing like money too, you know. If you say you went to Vegas and you were at, you know, some type of slot machine or whatever, and you put in a quarter and then you got back $5, you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to try and stick around. But if you got back a penny, you're most likely, or you lost, you most likely would go off of it. It's the same type of behavioral science that we're looking at here. A great physician here by the name of Dr. Robert O. Young wrote a book called PH for Weight Loss. This is a book that was recommended to me when I was in chiropractic school by one of my mentors. I really didn't understand it at the time because it was kind of like over my head, and over the years I kept reading it and coming to an understanding, and I finally grasped it, you know, a couple years ago, of what this is, you know, why pH balance is so essential to maintaining proper biochemistry. And it's basically the underlying thing, like I showed you in the previous slide. It's the underlying issue behind everything else. You can have the best supplements in the world. You can have the best detoxification regimen in the world. You can do all these things, but if you're still not affecting the acid-alkaline ratio, it's not effective. And you see his main quote here is that the body will go to great lengths to preserve this acid-alkaline balance, the main one being fat deposition. And that's huge, because that's what we're talking about in this presentation here. We're talking about obesity here. So within the Better Body System, there's this thing called a transformation kit. Now the transformation kit has 4 cornerstones. 1 is the yes shakes, 2 is the alkalizer, and 3 is thermal burn and passion, and number 4 is the pure digestive and detoxification enhancer here. And the first time I saw this, it really opened my eyes, because it addressed almost every single aspect that I was doing in my clinic, you know, piecing things together. But here it was put together in a very easy, doable system that gets results. You know, and the one main thing that I wanted to make sure of was, does it taste good? Because everything revolves around taste, no matter what. You know, if it tastes good, people are going to ingest it, and they're going to keep ingesting it. So I want to kind of break down the different, you know, components of the transformation kit and kind of give you just the highlights of what makes it so effective here. So I'm going to start with the shakes. Now the shakes, you see a lot of weight loss protein shakes out on the market, and a lot of them are actually, in my opinion, they're substandard. You know, at a lot of these things that you can buy at places like GNC or Vitamin World, and there was actually a study done in consumer labs analyzing a bunch of these shakes, and what they found was that a lot of them actually had contaminants in them, like arsenic and lead and different hormone antibiotics, and you really don't want to make that stuff when you're trying to, you know, curb your weight there. So with the Yoho Essential Shake, I pointed out here a couple key components that makes the shakes effective here. There's these whole food complexes, you know, these different herbs and shrubs and berries that they put into the shakes that actually has a synergistic biochemical effect on your body. And the shakes is a shifting your body from burning sugar and creating that sugar to burning energy. One of the main things I want to point out here is you'll see a lot of different shakes and different systems on the market that are actually using artificial sweeteners, because, you know, if you don't want to use a shake that has sugar in it or all this other stuff, because you're trying to get away from that. So a lot of companies are using artificial sweeteners. And artificial sweeteners you want to stay away from, because one, my grandfather used to use a lot of artificial sweeteners, and I saw it affect his brain. So that's why I'm very adamant about artificial sweeteners. The sweeteners that you use is stevia, which is a natural leaf found in nature, not chemically processed. That's found in South America, maki. It's packed with huge amounts of anthocyanins. These are very potent anti-inflammatories and antioxidants. So it's packed huge into these small little berries. And one of the main things is that it prevents the oxidation of cholesterol in your blood. And that's the real key component for arterial plaquing, the oxidation alongside alkalinity. So we're going to talk about that in a couple more slides. The next one was moringa. Moringa is this shrub that grows in the subtropical that a lot of indigenous tribes actually will use as their staple. Rather than hunting for food, they use this plant because they're getting a complete nutritional source. Because it's one of the few plants that actually contains all the essential amino acids. It's rich in all these different vitamins and minerals. You know, it's basically like a complete multivitamin in a plant. It's a very nutrient-dense plant that's basically, you know, helps humans survive for hundreds of thousands of years. And it's contained right in the shakes there. The next couple of components has been really studied thoroughly in the last couple of years. One is cissus and the other one is ervingia. But the third one, this is really important to a lot of people to balance out their gastrointestinal system, because it's antibacterial, antifungal, and antihelminthic, meaning that it cleans out the parasites, cleans out all the little critters in your digestive tract so that you can actually decrease the amount of toxins that those things are producing. Another study was done. It showed that it was great for gastric ulcers, helping soothe gastric ulcers. And there was another study that was done in the diabetic report for treatment of obesity, finding it very, very effective. Now, when we look at its counter or its partner, the African mango or the ervingia, this was the key component that actually helped people to actually their weight loss, or decrease the amount of weight by decreasing the amount of fat that was stored, one, in their adipose tissue, and two, in their organs. And that was a very important component. Here's the study that was done. The portion I highlighted bottom here is saying that the cissus quadrangularis and the ervingia gabonensis combination resulted in even larger reductions, even more so than each one of them taken separately. This apparently synergistic formulation should prove helpful in the management of obesity and its related complications. We have plants, guys. Plants that are helping us to normalize. You know, the father of the modern day medicine, Hippocrates, always said, let your food be your medicine, and your medicine be your food. You know, he never said, go down to CVS and let, 2 bottles of Advil be your medicine. Or it's looking towards what's already been provided for us, because the one thing that you don't want to do is create harm in your body. And that's what we're here with the Yes Shakes here. Now, the protein source is coming from a product called Pureway. And whenever I look at shakes, I always look at their protein sources. And the majority of the protein shakes that are out there are either soy protein isolates or whey protein isolates. And I'm not a real big fan of soy protein isolates. There's just been too many studies that have shown negative effects on it, and I just never like to deal with that aspect. And then the other aspect with the whey protein, I always like proteins in their undenatured state, or the active state. And so it's a real treat to be able to work with undenatured whey protein, because it contains all of the essential amino acids that is the precursors for glutathione. And glutathione is your body's #1 major antioxidant and detoxant in your body. So if you can give your body the precursors to make whatever it needs, it's going to make it at whatever rate that it needs it. A lot of companies are selling glutathione supplements, and I was never a believer in selling the actual glutathione supplement, because too many studies have shown that glutathione breaks down in the gastric system. So if you give the body the precursors, it'll make when it needs at the rate that it needs it. Glutathione is very, very important for detoxification, because that's the one thing that actually takes the toxins out of the body. It's the escort of the detoxification system. The Pure has also been shown to increase metabolism, boost your metabolism. I think that Dr. Oz talked about it. Increases serotonin production, so it helps moods for people who are suffering from depression and other types of psychological disorders are going to be helped of it. The main thing that I wanted to look at was, where is the source of this coming from? It has to be coming from a clean source, and I asked the company, where do we get this? And it's basically coming from grass-fed, non-GMO, hormone, antibiotic-free cows that roam the lands of New Zealand and Australia. We always thought that happy cows come from California, but I don't know. I think happy cows come from New Zealand and Australia. They're the ones that's actually being, non-poisoned. So Pure Whey, amazing component of protein within the Yes Shakes. So just to kind of recap on the glutathione, it's synthesized by these 3 major essential amino acids, or not essential amino acids, they're just amino acids. It's the major antioxidant in your body, the major detoxifant. It basically will help you to maintain your mental and physical function. That's what we're after here. So, a lot of people will ask, hey, is the transformation kit, the Better Body System, only for people that need to lose weight? And I always tell them no. Losing weight is just because there's so many people that need it. That's what it's being spoken as. But it's actually a way to detoxify your body and maintain your health. Or actually like that, because even if you don't have weight to lose, you have toxins to lose. I can guarantee it. If you're still breathing, you are creating toxins in your system that you need to get out. So, in my opinion, this is for everybody. So there are basic 9 ways to boost glutathione. Number 1, you want to consume sulfur-rich foods. These are like your cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, kale, garlic, onions, or you want to take bioactive whey protein. Number 3 is exercise. Number 2 is a precursor for glutathione, which is N-acetylcysteine. N-acetylcysteine is coming from basic precursors in amino acids: alpha-lipoic acid, folate, B6, B12, the mineral selenium, vitamin C and E, and milk thistle. All the ones that I have in bold there are contained within the Better Body System. So here we're seeing how we're attacking obesity by detoxifying our body. We're going to talk about another component of detoxification as well. This is very, very important. So the next component with shakes, and this is also within the pure digestion probiotic, is Bacillus coagulans. And there are a lot of probiotics that are being touted on the market. You may watch like television, and they have like yogurt being touted. I think of like Activia or something, saying, hey, you know what, take our yogurt every day and we'll give you probiotics in your system. But a lot of these probiotics, they don't survive with stomach acid. So you get in there, stomach acid rises and kills off the probiotics, because that's basically what stomach acid is supposed to do. It's supposed to defend you from foreign invaders and break down protein as well. But the interesting component of the Bacillus coagulans, and this has been studied tremendously, is that it's in a spore form. So basically, it's like a seed. When the spores get into your gastrointestinal system, the acidity in your gastrointestinal system actually causes it to germinate. Now, when it goes through the stomach and it bypasses the gastric acid, it germinates, and then it can get into your small intestine and large intestine and actually inhabit and colonize that environment. And it then needs an out environment so that it proliferates. So there's two stages to the digestion and detoxification component of pure. So there's an acidic portion where the spore will germinate, and there's an alkaline portion where it will colonize and proliferate. And once it starts proliferating, it produces L-lactic acid. And the lactic acid is the main component, the main lactic acid that you want to be secreted in your colon, because that's what, along with other components, will help when you have a proliferation of colon cancer. It's because you decrease the amount of probiotic, the healthy probiotic, that are secreting L-lactic acid. So here we are reversing that here. The next portion is basically the fat component of the shakes. Fats are good. You know, throw that notion out that fats are bad. You need fats. You need fats every single day, because without fats, your body can't function. And the source of the omega-3s in there comes from a component called MEG3, and you're getting about 260 milligrams per serving, and you're satisfying the amount that is basically keeping your body functioning, almost about 500 milligrams per day. The MEG was the world's first to receive the dietary and USP ingredient verification for omega-3 fatty acids coming from a fish source. This is good for decreasing inflammation, overall brain, heart, joint health, just overall body support. This is contained all in the shakes. So the next component is thermal burn. And there was a key component of thermal burn that is actually making big headlines. And it's called raspberry ketones, and it was featured on Dr. Oz's show. And he did a whole segment on raspberry ketones, and he talked about how they work, and basically he was equating it to these balloons filled with air, and then you put it into liquid nitrogen, and then the balloons shrink. And the balloons were representing fats. Or ketones do is they stimulate this hormone called adiponectin. And what that does is that goes over to the fat cells, and it tells the fat cells to release the fat. So within thermal burn, there's one component called raspberry ketone. There's other things like the Ervingia and the moringa in thermal burn that's actually helping to increase thermogenesis. And thermogenesis is basically increasing your body's internal temperature so that you're burning fat for energy. So now I want to talk about the core of the program. And this is what I consider the core of the program, which is pH balance. Because with pH balance, you're going to get health. And what I always tell all my patients is that it's not about losing weight, it's about gaining health. Because some people don't even lose weight on the system. Some people actually lose weight, but they're gaining health because their body has been so depleted of the essential nutrients that their body needs that when they're on the system, that the body has to replenish that. So when we look at pH balance, we're looking at basically getting the waste products out of your body. So just through everyday cellular metabolism, our body is producing three major acids. Okay, so we're producing uric acid, fatty acids, and phosphoric acid. Now, what happens is that when we eat, acid level rises in our tissues, in our blood, and our body has to buffer that. So the acid levels cannot increase too much unless you're going to die. So basically what our body does is it has different mechanisms. So one, it pulls alkaline stores from your bones and your teeth and tissues to buffer the acid. If you don't have enough alkaline reserves, what your body does is it starts turning these acid compounds into alkaline salts. Basically, it's crystallizing. So with uric acid, you're forming gout. With phosphoric acid, you're forming kidney stones. With fatty acid, you're forming cholesterol plaquing and you're forming adipose tissue. So your body figures out a way to get it out of solution. But the catch, though, is you can only do this for so long until your body finally gives up. What you have to do is you have to increase the amount of alkaline reserves so that you can offset the amount of crystallization that you're having with all of these organic acids here. I found this study really interesting was there was a book written called Reverse Aging, and he talked about the acid-alkaline balance, and he said, okay, the human body has roughly about 10 gallons of water at pH 7.4. Now, if you drink one glass of cola at pH 2.5, that'll drop the entire 10 gallons of water that's at pH 7.4 down to 4.6. Okay? That's very acidic. Then it'll take 32 glasses of a hot pH water to neutralize what was put in for one glass of acid. And when we're talking high pH, we're talking like above 10. You know, so you're drinking 32 glasses of high pH water, and I don't know anybody that drinks 32 glasses of even acidic water. So imagine what your body is going through to buffer that pH of 2.5 so that your blood doesn't drop its pH level from the ideal point of 7.365. You're keeping it there. It doesn't drop to 4.6 because you drop even to 7.1, 6, or 6.8, you're dead. You know, it's an amazing process here. So we're looking at the buffering system here. Can somebody turn off their sound? Thanks. So the buffering system is basically linking your bones, your muscles, and your joints, and all that kind of stuff. And we're seeing huge amounts of osteoporosis in our society, huge amounts of periodontal disease. All basic diseases are stemming from an imbalance in pH. What we have to do is we have to re-establish that pH balance. That's what we're doing with the alcohol. There's a book written called and the blue zones is basically a study that was done on these areas of longevity. So, the amount of places in the book, these societies were living to hundreds. This guy studied about it. He found consistently being on societies. Okay, so one was they had a sense of community. They had an environment where they didn't smoke or they weren't exposed to smoking. And three was they ate a plant-based diet. And the fourth one is they had a consistent moderate physical activity. All of these things are basically to decrease the amount of acid in our system. Because when you're in a familial community environment, your body is less stressed, and you're producing less acidity. You just don't smoke, you don't have acidity produced. Plant-based diet is alkaline. When you're moving around, you're increasing circulation, oxygenation. So that's how these people are living to, 100 years old. They're not doing anything that's out of the ordinary. So when we look at the acid-alkaline balance here, this guy, his name is Herman Ihara. And what he found was that when your blood is becoming acidic, it goes through 4 major stages. And the last stage is cancer. So the first stage is you're getting tired, your immune system starts dropping, you get more colds than normal. Second stage, you start feeling headaches, chest pain, stomach aches, and all that kind of stuff. In the body, you just can't buffer that acid anymore. And then like we talked about, your body deposits the excess acid in various areas of the body. And if you keep depositing acidic compounds into cellular tissues, the cells begin to die. Then what happens is the cells begin to adapt from this acid environment, and they become malignant so that they don't die off. But that's the bad thing too, is because now these cells don't obey the natural laws of your body, because they never die. They just keep replicating over and over, and that's the exact opposite of what we want to be doing there. So the product alkaline is pretty phenomenal, because I'm pretty familiar with alkaline water machines and these ionizers out there. They work really great. And the problem I saw in my office was that a lot of people didn't have the funds to buy an alkaline water machine, nor did they have, nor did they want to carry around 4 or 5 bottles of alkaline water with them every single day. So when I saw Alkali, I was like, oh my, it's a great product to do the exact same thing, but in a convenient manner. And I call this the secret weapon, behind the Better Body system, because this is the way that you're alkalizing your body. We're bringing the tissues up to a level of over 9.5, maybe with 10.0, 10.2 ranges of the pH scale, very high alkaline to buffer those acids. And when your body is in a state of alkalinity, it burns fat for energy. Okay? And that's why even some people, if they just jump on alkali, they see instantaneous results as well. They start burning fat for energy there. So let's look at the Better Body system in action here. The Better Body system takes into play a thing that I call biochemical periodization. And what I mean by that is you're tricking your body, or not necessarily tricking, but you're doing things to your body where it doesn't plateau. It doesn't basically become accustomed to one thing. So you have protein days and you have meal days, and so you're switching back and forth to be accustomed to one thing. So when your body gets accustomed to biochemicals, I call it stagnancy, that's when your body stops making biochemical changes. This is the same idea that P90X took to the exercise programs. You're always doing some type of different activity every day. So this program, you can find it in the Better Body system. It comes in a little pamphlet. And basically what you're doing is when you're waking up, you're increasing your metabolism right off the bat, and you're increasing alkalinity, so you start burning fat for energy. And 30 minutes later, you're getting protein into your body, because when you're sleeping, your body's actually breaking down protein. So you want to replenish that right then and there, right after you get up. In mid-morning, you're burning protein, and then you're eating protein. You're eating protein for lunch, eating protein mid-afternoon, then you're with thermal burn and passion. Then you're having your yes shake at dinner time. Then at bedtime is when you're getting pure and your alkaline. The reason why you're doing the pure at bedtime is because that's when your body is going through detoxification, is when you're sleeping. So you want to give your body that boost to detoxify when you're sleeping there. Okay. So these are your protein days. Now the goal with the protein days is basically to wipe out all of those carbohydrate stores that you've been accumulating over the years. So your body is not being insulin dependent during those first 2 days. So a lot of people are going to see phenomenal results on those first 2 days. I've heard people losing somewhere between 5 to 6 pounds in their first 2 days. It's not uncommon because your body is just shedding all those carbohydrate stores. On your third day, you're going to move to the meal day. This is where you're basically doing the exact same thing as your protein day. But when you get to your lunch portion, this is when you start adding in your carbohydrates. You're restoring some of the carbohydrates that you're losing. You're using complex carbohydrates to restore. You're not going back and going to McDonald's and getting the extra large fries to restore your carbohydrates. You're using good things like starchy vegetables and different types of fruits to restore the carbohydrates that you lost there. Okay, and you're doing the exact same things in mid-afternoon dinner and your bedtime to kind of keep this going. Okay. So a lot of people have asked me, saying, wait a minute, where's all my calories? I need to be getting some type of caloric intake during this time. That was the one thing that, when I first started in school, that was what we were taught. But there's actually a different sense to this. You look at how the human body biochemically functions. And during your protein day, you're getting roughly between 540 to 600 calories per day. The average person just at rest needs about 1,200 calories per day just to function. But when we look at what we're doing with the food, with the passion, with the yes shakes, what we're doing is we're actually releasing energy. We're actually releasing the energy stores from fat, and we're doing it at an effective rate. So if you look at 1 gram of fat, 1 gram of fat is equal to 9 calories. So if you do simple math here, 1 pound is equal to 454 grams, which is basically equaling 4,086 calories. So per day, if you're dropping a pound or shedding a pound, you're supplying your body with an extra 4,000 calories. You're burning that off. So you're using up a lot of the stored energy that you already have. So, I always get this question, it's like, hey doc, how long do I stay on this? Do I stay on this for the rest of my life? And I says, what, for the average person that's just looking for, better health and decreasing their weight, I recommend doing it for at least 3 months. Okay, doing it, the Better Body Kit, and the transformation kit in the Better Body System. You're doing it for at least 3 months. Then you can jump over to the optimized kits. The reason why I say 3 months is that it typically takes your body about 60 to 90 days, if not 120 days, to make lasting biochemical changes. So you'll see results in your first month, but to get lasting changes, I recommend somewhere between 3 to 4 months. Then you want to maintain that on the optimized kit. That's when your body's going to go through and it's going to make those biochemical changes last. Is during the 3 months, 4 months, maybe up to a year. So you want to be on that optimized kit. Basically keep going what you've been doing. Now obviously you still have to implement some type of lifestyle. You can't be eating at Burger King or Back in a Box every single meal and drinking your Yoli shakes, expecting your body to stay that way, because this is not a magic pill that'll keep you all like that. So what you want to do is maintain a lifestyle change that will be effective for the rest of your life there. And for people, you need recipes on how to eat good. You can go to this website. You always put together great recipes that'll help you through the rest of the program. And it's also alkaline foods, so it's a great way to keep your body going there. This is some of the things that I've seen. People posting to me on Facebook or sending me emails, and it's just great to see people getting results. This is not just something that I threw together and it's like something theoretical. This is something that my patients and others are doing around the world here. I have one patient, she emailed me, she's like, oh my gosh, I tried it, I lost 6 pounds. Another patient emailed me the other day, and she's like, I started it Tuesday, and I'm almost down 6 pounds as of this morning, which is almost the first couple of days. One, I pulled this off of the Yoli website, and this one really struck me, and this is, when we say at Yoli we transform lives, this is the one that struck me the most, because I get, people that they say, I don't want to spend money on jumping on the Better Body System. I don't have enough money, times are hard, and I get that stuff, I get it. But looking at this one here, it says, this guy lost 39 pounds on the Better Body System, and he saved $300 on his health insurance because he lost the weight, and his blood tests are better. His insurance is saying, hey, you're no longer a risk to us. We're going to lower your premiums by $300. It's like, oh my gosh, he just got a return on his investment there. And that's when we say Yoli products are transforming lives there. And you can go on the Yoli website and see huge amounts of testimonials of how we're transforming lives every single day. And these are the pictures. There's some superstars on here that are just rocking it with, with their program. And the one that struck me the most was this family at the bottom here. Because, over the course of a couple months, they transformed their bodies and they transformed their lives. That's what I love to see is when people are being affected, especially families. That really just opens up my mind, opens up my heart, and just to look at this and it's like, oh my gosh, this family over the course of a couple of months lost a combined weight of 135 pounds. That's huge. Because not only does it increase their health, but as they're doing this as a family, it increases their bond as a family. And no longer have to say like, oh no, mom's being affected by this disease because of her weight. You don't have to do that. There's an answer to that. And that's what I love so much about the Better Body system here. So I'm just going to wrap it up here, guys. We're seeing obesity, like I said, it's rising faster than ever. Yeah, and no matter what we're doing, we've had these fad diets since the 60s and 70s, and it's rising faster than ever, and we need to do something about it, and the Better Body system is that answer, and making that lifestyle change. And the central component lies in that proper acid-alkaline balance. And we have that here with the alkali product, along with the different recipes to get you into the acid-alkaline balance. And, the Better Body system, in my opinion, from a practitioner standpoint, is one of the most effective systems I've seen to date. When I get dropped a nutritional product almost every single week in my office, and it's one of the first ones that I looked at and says, wow, this is actually something that is doing something good for your biochemistry and it has lasting results. And so what I urge you guys to do is, go to the Yoli website and check it out, yoli.com, YOLI.com. Check out what Yoli has to offer. If you're invited here by, your friends, your relatives, get back with them and talk about this. And I urge you to start a new program, now. And I always stress urgency, and you never know what will happen next. Our lives are so fleeting that we just have to, if you want to do something, take advantage of it now. And that's why I put together this presentation, was so that this message can be spread throughout the world, because we need to be helping the rest of the world with what we have here with the Better Body system. I see a lot of other different weight systems out on the market, and I've taken a look at them, and they're okay, but they don't get good results as far as proper biochemistry. And I'm not going to name any names of different products out there, but for me as a physician, I wouldn't risk my reputation on something that I thought was just a gimmick, or something that was just something to make a quick buck or anything like that. I initially looked at this as being an effective tool in my arsenal in my office for my patients to get results. So that's kind of my own testimony, for the Better Body system. And if you haven't tried it yet, definitely try it. If you're currently on it, keep going and tell others, And that's basically it. That's the Better Body system. And I wish you guys a great evening. And if you guys have any more questions, you guys can find me on Facebook, or find Twitter. I'm always on that kind of stuff. Just message me if you guys have any questions. If I don't hear from you guys, I wish you guys the best. All right, you guys have a great evening, and I will see you all later.
Screen sharing has stopped.